Okay, so good afternoon. So it's an easy task. After Andrew and David, I think you are now are all converted to disruption is now not just in the other sector. Construction, they are disrupted, as well. And we have all the sort of technology. And then the challenge of us is really how can we sort of implement those sort of technology? And my task being tasked by CK Horn and KK Chen is for formation of the CITIC sort of center is after scouting all this technology, we need to make it real. And what are really the challenges ahead of us? 2 days ago, we have our CITIC, I think, inaugural sort of conference. David and some of the others came to our center. He said, oh, it gave me a lot of, I think, confidence. We are moving in the right direction. We have the sort of world, local sort of technology inside the center. It's really how we can sort of attract all you guys to come to the center and then work with us, co-create with us, and then do the sort of benefit. But then during the lunch, KK asked me, then, what's next, I think, Thomas, after now, formation on this civic center? And then I said, how can we really make sure of the infrastructure, the institutional thing can be done? Because Andrew has said, a beam, I think we can really have this co-creation and the 9+2 is coming. So should we be extending not just to Busan, but Macau and all the other areas? That's what we need to look at. But today, I think I was really disappointed when we say, Hong Kong, the infrastructure is well number 1, but then innovation is 26 or 28, and I don't believe it. And also, I think Andrew would agree with me. But I think David is saying to me, don't shy away from showcasing your project, because in the UK or in other parts of the world, we are really trying to showcase our activity. And you can really gain the sort of credibility and also spread the message of how can you implement the sort of innovation. That's why at this juncture, I would like to show you, I think, one of the humble contractor, what he is doing, what he is mapping out in terms of innovation to see whether we can have some insight of doing it. It's a humble, normal contractor in Hong Kong. So that's why I don't think we should be class, I think, 26 or 28. So the noise doesn't come in. This is the Kowloon station, which is going to be open, I think, by the quarter of this year. Without beam, without, I think, all the technology, no way we can sort of, I think, complete the job. This is the Tuen Mun Chat Lap Kok Link. Again, without the technology, forget it. I think this is really... So you talk about the robotic train, I call about the terrible train. I think we need to merge the terribles, I think, together to make it really so innovative. Absolutely. So, but the sound doesn't come up, I think so. We can see, I think we are demonstrating it by young people. I think don't underestimate the capability of our young people, and the reverse of mentoring is really coming into our industry. So this is something that we need to be sort of, I think, understand and grasp the opportunity. So in Hong Kong, we have, I think, robotic, I think, painting already. It's nothing new. They're using, I think, cable sort of robotic. So tiling, I think we're working together with ETH Singapore, I think, trying to do this, I think, tiling together. Exoskeleton, again, nothing new. It's really renowned in the sort of medical sort of health industry. It's now gradually be implemented in us because of our aging sort of workforce. Within the 450,000 sort of workers, some 12% are aged over 60. Then you can really imagine the aging sort of problem within, I think, Hong Kong. So when I was in ETH, I think, Zurich, I think I can already see this robotic arm were doing this reinforcement and concreting already. It's real, I think it's not, 5 years from now, it's really being demonstrated that can be done. So PPVC, I think MIC, definitely. I think Singapore have really demonstrated, at least I think now 40 project is done, I think, under PPVC and MIC. And UK, again, is doing the same thing. Okay, so maybe in view of time, I think let's move on. So I think the thing that is in my mind, I think, is how can we sort of share the journey, the innovation journey from all other jurisdictions, and then to see what can Hong Kong do. And I think I won't steal the sort of pride from John is going to talk about this, but I think that you can see from how Singapore, I think, is developing their journey since 2009. I think at that time, in terms of the league table, Hong Kong and Singapore are the same. But after doing all these years into innovation, their sort of construction cost is only half of our price, and then Hong Kong construction cost is first in Asia. So you can definitely see, I think that is a lot of things that we can learn from Singapore in terms of PPVC and how they promote on the integrated digital delivery and how they would train up the green professional, the digital professionals, I think, in the years to come. So this is how to address those issues and the tri-party strengths that they are putting in, like the government, industry workers, and union. And again, looking at, I think, UK, this report was just published, and they call it Transformation of the Infrastructure Performance. Just look at this photograph. This is with the DFMA sort of principle in mind. When you have the design, you have the sort of what element would be in the factory, what will be semi-prefabricated, and what will be done on site. You have this in the very on. And again, they call it infrastructure. They look at the whole sort of total life cycle that a lot of people has been talking about. In all parts of the world, construction is still classified as projects because we're projects or company. But then all the sort of management, administration, again, is just doing transaction. It's not looking at the life cycle, but just transactional, without looking into the real values or added. But if you look at, I think, what UK is sort of doing, when they issue this report, it's not just, I think, Thomas Ho or a contractor is doing it. It was issued by the Exchequer Secretary to the Treasury, the CFO of UK, and also the IPA, the one who have the authority, who have teeth to make sure that implementation would be done. Of course, they will have a lot of, I think, good ideas. But the thing that sort of struck me is okay, so what has struck me is the reason why they have this burning platform to do it. In the next 10 years, UK is going to do 600 billion pounds of infrastructure. And they have perceived by just the whole industry from the UK, they perceive by improvement of 0.25%, say 1% of the infrastructure would add 56 billion pounds value to the GDP. They're looking at value rather than just cost. But also in terms of cost, they know that by doing all this offsite, DFMA, digital, I think they can save 15 billion already. But for Hong Kong, why we are not having that burning platform? Because we're doing exactly the same thing. Although Hong Kong is small, we're going to spend, last year, we spent 215 billion dollars. So in the next 10 years, we're going to do more or less the same. So we are doing around, in English pound, terms, we're doing around 300 billion pounds in the next 10 years. Again, if somewhat in the same proportion, what value we can add to our GDP and what saving we can make, I think, around the industry is huge. And I think that is definitely something we can learn from those. But we need to create that platform. But as indicated by Andrew and David, you can see in the UK, they use this co-creation now, not just London, but Oxford, Milton, Cambridge, all this area talking to each other. And also the minister is saying in 2017 sort of budget, 2019 we need to do this off-site sort of prefabrication, put all the elements into place. And then Lord Mayor have said they will support the construction sector deal, making sure that would be implemented and to use digital and whatnot. But you can see the formation of a few sort of focus group within the UK that drive the innovation. They have the I3P. This is the HS2, the Crossrail, all the highway agency, all these sort of infrastructural company, I think, were getting together. And also they have the clients, infrastructure clients group as well. Again, talking to each other, not just, I think, just sharing information, but having all these sort as Andrew has said, the beam can be coordinated. The traffic, as David has said, I mean, the smartness can all, with the data, with the technology, that can be done. And again, one paper I've forgotten to put here, which was reminded by me, again, by one of the champion on the Project 13 in the UK. In fact, they have the data sort of management for the public good paper as well. Again, I'm quite sure ICE have been putting a lot of, I think, input into the project. So I think they have the sort of government support, legislative support, then it will really facilitate it with those sort of platform, I think, being formed. Again, ICE have done a report, it's so nice. They are they're trying to sort of say to the community, let's start step by step. First of all, a simple collaboration, and then you will enter into this enterprise sort of performance. You can have steps. Also, they have this project asset network and system. So to start with, you need to understand whether you can digitize your project. You can look at the sort of carbon emission of project. Unless that platform has been done, forget about all the top. You're never able to do it. And also, you can then see, wow, UK is so good, then they must be doing bloody good, I think. But in the middle of last year, I think Douglas, I think, would know, the Farmers Report, even though we are doing that much, they are saying modernize or die. So this is really the burning platform that we all need to sort of, I think, bear in mind to see how best to do it. And the Construction Leadership Forum actually saying that even under all this sort of innovation are continuing, we can save 30% of the cost. We can also add so much more value. We can export, I think, the GDP to the rest of the jurisdiction. That's what I think we need to follow. In the McKinsey report, again, other than Singapore, they classify as really excellent example. They look at, I think, China as well. China, for them, people said, because of the scale, just now I think in the Shanghai plan, I think it's talking about they have the scale. And in the report, it was said, I think, so the high-speed rail for China is the cheapest, I think, around the world. No one can sort of, I think, better than them. And they say, oh, of course, bad quality, blah, blah, blah. But it's not the case. All the span are the same. They have done all the prefabrication in the factory, making sure that standardization would go. And again, the strategy of China is they have a lot of PPP. I think some of our Chinese, I think, colleagues are here. The project that they are doing it's not easy. They would need to do, maybe within 5 years, they need to do 15 million square foot of housing. It's a lot. You just imagine. But what they did is they have, I think, a prefabricated workshop, just like what I think Singapore has been doing this MIC factory, or Langley is doing in the UK. So then they making use of this prefabrication, offsite, everything prefabricated, and then just shift to site to improve on the productivity. I was told within 2 years, they have done half already, and that's how the efficiency and the GDP will gain it. So now David have been saying the Alibaba, the Tencent, the Huawei, the vendor, they are doing exactly the same thing already. They would disrupt us. And you look at the vendor, I think, or Vanke, I think the biggest developer in China, or what they are doing, they capitalize on the scale and then come up with their own integrated digital management. For vendor, they'll be doing around hundreds of commercial complex malls, I think, in a year. And then they are able to use the digital delivery, making different sort of modules, capture, I think Jimmy would know, I think, about 1 million objects that can interpolate, I think, from design to the facility management of 60, 70, that Andrew is starting to talk with. In Hong Kong, I think we did a global switch project. We have, I think, 6,000, 7,000 of BIM points trying to measure the efficiency after we handed over the building. But points need to be inbuilt in the BIM model. That's how the thing would work. That's why this is how we need to look at the sort of infrastructure, and that's what we need to prepare ourselves. And those are really good quotes, I think, that really sort of mirror, something, I think, in Hong Kong. Productivity isn't everything, but in the long run, it's almost everything. A country or a city ability to improve its standard over time depends almost entirely on its ability to raise its output per worker. And to have touched on that point, or David touched on that point. Construction productivity has been flat for decades. According to the McKinsey report, we are only better construction, only better than, I think, agriculture. But the other sector has doubled their productivity. And I think this is very similar. There are a bunch of people, whose job is just to get the bill past the parliament or past the electrical, but without looking into the sort of operation. Tier 1 contractors have never talked to the Tier 2 contractor or co-create with the sort of bidding team. So after saying all this, I think what should be done in Hong Kong? I have some prelim sort of thoughts, but I think it may not be easy, but we should then maybe follow what I think the other are doing. Because I think in the meantime, I don't think we really have a burning platform. The asset, I think, even in the tough time, UK is saying I think they can do 33% lower cost, blah, blah, blah. We are doing exactly the same thing. We should create a burning platform. And I think within the CIC, we have a BIM task force already. You heard, I think, what CK Horn has said to us, I think. So he said, CTEC, you need to help, I think, the SME on getting some innovation that they can do. But for me, you just apply the BIM to the SME. You will improve, the productivity for Hong Kong industry in big time already. But how can we help the SME to do this? I think just like Singapore, just like the other parts of the world, sponsor them, help them. Unless that is done, I think we're just going to talk about the sort of BIM, and we're never able to have the digital sort of delivery, because that is really the most fundamental thing. And again, we need a standard, right? Because otherwise, the objects don't talk to each other. You create all the sort of platform again and again, then it doesn't mean sort of business, I think, at all. I think we have sort of formula. We have, I think, this is it's in the sort of, I think, public domain already, and it's in CTEC as well. If you come to the CTEC, we can definitely sort of explain to you how can we, I think, do it. And I said, Hong Kong really needs some sort of Langle Rock sort of, I think, automated, I think, MIC sort of hub, just like Singapore, so that, the skill set and the technology would remain here. Because we just can't wait for the InnoCell or the Hong Kong Youth or hostel to come. Because those are the two pilot projects Hong Kong government and ourselves would like to do. But it needs 4 or 5 years to come into fruition. But for the 460,000 units that we are going to do in the next 10 years, some 60% would be in housing authority project. Why can't we make use of that skill and do it now? That is high time we embrace this, but it's not up to me to say, just having a humble sort of request. Okay, so I think we should really mirror what UK is doing, the Transport Infrastructure Clients Group. We should have, I think, the MTRC talking to Highway, talking to Alex, talking to all these people, making use of, the CTEC or CIC to help them, just like what Crossrail have been doing. Crossrail, they have a small seed money, but they're able to then engage with the client, talking to each other to get the benefit. They have those done already. But next, maybe we have a building group as well. Like the reader, like the construction leaders, we got the housing authority, housing society. Let's gather them together and then making use of this capability. And then upskilling, go without saying. If you don't upskill yourselves, you don't know how to manage your project. Do the reverse mentoring. Talk to your data scientists. Talk to your IT people to see how can we do the digitization. Otherwise, we are just talking about innovation, not doing it. This is really the model I think we need to be embracing. For CTEC or for CIC, we are now embracing those, I think, experts, I think, the big data, everyone. But then we need a formation on those key group. Then we can make use of them to facilitate the innovation to come. Then, of course, the upskilling go without saying, and the DFMA, BIM, or IDD or IPD is the essence to go. So thank you very much.